Oh, there we go. We're on both sides. Hello, Wisdom Happy jumps in before it reaches my computer that we're completely on live. And welcome everybody. Yeah, today. As always, coming in being is about just connecting within. Karen, hey, Karen, I haven't seen you for a bit. Good to see you. Is taking that time to connect with ourselves and to be in that space for ourselves. And hello to Asta. So if your Instagram shows me instantly who's on, but if you're on YouTube, do stop by and say hi on the chat. It's always fun to see who's popped in. Yeah, and as we all know, things are rather interesting right now. We're going through a lot of changes and a lot of things that are just coming forward and clearing out, and new things that are coming forward, and new levels of being, new consciousness, and it's pretty interesting. And this morning, I was waking up, and it's like I could feel all this stuff, and it's a very interesting place to be when you tap into a deeper level. Hey, Lydia. It's like I can feel myself, but when I try to tune into my body, I have kind of a difficult time. It's a little bit hard. It's like I feel all this stuff, and I like, this is okay. What is going on here? Because I know that's not me, but what is going on? And realizing that, first that peace. So before I get into the realization, that peace, when that comes up, coming into that place of stillness for ourselves and getting really quiet. And in that quietness, we realign more deeply with ourselves. And that's always so important. And we don't always take the time. And Leah from Australia, yay. Good to see you. She says, greetings from Australia, beautiful souls. Yes, to everyone here. So I sat there because it's like clearly not me. So this is kind of a little thing for you guys too. Whenever this happens, is just coming into that stillness and just focusing on your breath, and maybe even closing your eyes and tuning in. So let's do that right now. Let's all just do that right now. So close your eyes and just come into your breath. And notice just whatever is there for you right now in this moment. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's just about becoming aware, becoming more kind of tuned in to what is around you, right? So there's different things for different people. A little kind of going on in the head. Some of you, it's interesting. It's like there's kind of what I would call a dark space, and dark, not necessarily negative, but just kind of this blank, almost like you're avoiding going into what that is. But just notice that there's this thing that you might be avoiding. Some of you are a little bit more brighter, but then there's a little bit of this kind of holding still. So whatever it is, and Alexandra popped in. Hello. So we're just tuning into ourselves and just kind of coming into that stillness. So as soon as you come into that stillness, instead of getting pulled around by this stuff, when you kind of take that moment to just stop and be still, focus on your breath, that alone helps you to just be that much more connected into yourself. And then you start noticing these different things. So notice what's there for you. And when you can start noticing that, instead of being like agitated and as you kind of just come into that stillness, and then you notice it's like, oh, okay, there's, this stuff around me that's just kind of like, as soon as you notice that, you've already kind of separated from that. You put some distance instead of being moved through it, with it, by it. It's like you're holding still and it's there and you can feel it moving, going round and whatever it is, just as an example. And that means that you've kind of disconnected. There's a shift away. And then the more you stay into that stillness, the more you just kind of stay centered and calm within yourself, the further away it goes. Sometimes it needs a little bit extra help getting further away, but sometimes that's enough. So anyways, I was doing that this morning. I was like, wow, okay, having a hard time, like just if I tune into my body, I'm just seeing this stuff. I feel solid, I feel strong, so it doesn't feel like it's throwing me off. But what is this stuff? And there's always different levels that we are connected to and that we tap into. And this morning, I was like, well, what do I do about this? You just kind of sit there and you let it come to you. The answers will come to you. Sometimes we just don't give it enough time, and sometimes we need to give it a lot of time before we get the answer because we're just too attached to knowing what that answer is, right? Been there, so I'm guilty of that one too. It's just work in progress. But so coming into that stillness for ourselves right now. And then as I was sitting there, so I'll just kind of walk you through this with whatever's coming up for you right now. So just like kind of take a deep breath in and just kind of in the intention of your mind of connecting to self. So that's whatever your stuff is, connecting into self and seeing what comes up for you. And there's some deeper emotions for some of you. And deeper meaning that you weren't maybe noticing them before, but if you go a little bit more in, then you notice them. There's some calmness for others. And maybe even more fidgeting for others. That's fine. So that's the level of the self. That's where you're at in this moment. And there's this other stuff that's going on, and we'll get there. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's take a deep breath in and just noticing what is self right now. Where is the self at right now? So just helping you to shift and align with yourself a little bit more strongly here. Yeah. So just notice yourself shifting. It's sort of like you get more aligned, and when we become more aligned with ourselves, it becomes quieter. It's like we hit a deeper level of resonance, and that you can sometimes pick up a tonality that comes in, or stillness or quiet. Kind of get that quiet right now. Very nice, yeah. And feel free to comment in if you're feeling that, if you're noticing that for yourself. Is that making sense for people? And kind of nice to have feedback so I know if I need to explain more or guide more deeply. So I assume that you're there. I'm assuming everyone is getting a sense of that. Because if I don't have anybody say anything, that I'm just going to assume that. Okay. Notice how that feels. Notice how kind of just calm and centered that is. All this other stuff that was there, it's still there. We'll get to that in a minute. But that centeredness and that calmness is there within. You know, and how much more easily we can just get through what we need to get through. Yeah. Just keep focusing on your breath. We'll stay here for another moment or two. You know, you can focus in on kind of, it's like you're pulling in your awareness into that center core. Yeah. We could stay here for a long time. Yeah. Does that feel good? Now getting back to that piece, you know, when you notice something about yourself. So that's kind of what I was taking myself through this morning. So now just kind of say, okay, where's the collective at? So the collective can be family, can be, you know, kind of a regional group, a culture. It can be, you know, even global. So whatever pops in, any of those are good. They're all kind of interconnected anyways. Okay, notice how that feels really different from where you were a minute ago. Got it. It looks like everybody, is that everybody on the call? Basically, just about everybody. It's like when you bring up the collective to mind, it's like it's just this big lump around you that forms head, mostly all the way down to about the hip level. So we'll just say the whole torso, head and torso, just kind of engulfed in this stuff. One person, it's like more in your backside. So it feels like it's kind of pretty clear in front, but then you've got this big thing back there. So just notice that. Notice what's ever coming up around the collective. So now you have a comparison. You have, okay, what is me, which we just did a minute ago, and now what is the collective? So that gives you a clear sense of what the collective, how the collective impacts you, or in this moment, at least right now, how it's impacting you. So we can kind of put on bright, cheery faces and act positive and stuff, but then there's the stuff that's there, right? And there's a lot of times there's people put on like these positive attitudes and kind of push through, and sometimes you need to do that to just like, no, I'm gonna stay there. So you have to push a little bit more. But a lot of times, a lot of people out there, you know, you can feel the difference. You know, notice that with people that you interact with. It's like when they're just like, I'm happy, and you can tell it's like, no, this is like way off, right? But so take a deep breath in, and so as you notice this piece, we're going to shift this. I'm going to walk you through this. So you can do this on your own afterwards, okay? So notice this collective piece that's around you. And there's there's shifting that's starting to happen, which means that people are holding their space pretty well. So kind of moving into the next piece here. As you notice that, you stay centered in yourself, so staying in that center. We've done this before, kind of talked about it different ways, like feeling like you're looking out, your eyes are little windows and you're inside and you're looking out those windows, for example, or focusing on that inner core alignment and staying anchored in yourself. As you notice that stuff, so one of the things you can do is like right there, it's like, no, that's not me, that's not my stuff. And then bring your awareness more fully on yourself and come into that thing, that core alignment, and say, this is me. Notice that stuff out there, so that's not me. And then lining up to that, really coming, feeling your body, feeling that core alignment, that, and you might get an image of like this clear line, a white line, or however it shows up. You might just feel it. And it says, this is me. Lydia, collective feels like political correctness not really received. Yeah, that's part of stuff that's in the collective. Absolutely. So just like, that's not mine. Come into yourself, and now when you're doing this, because we went into that first piece of like, okay, what is myself here? What is me? And connecting into that, then it separates out. Then it's like, okay, now I can feel my body more clearly, a better sense of it. Carolina, hello. Oh, Nancy, hello. Popped in too. Yeah, so we're just take a deep breath in, guys, who just joining in, and just connect into that core. So as you do this, as you come into yourself and you notice that separation and go, okay, that stuff, that's not me. Come into that core alignment and you say, that's me. And notice how that helps to separate you. Caldonia, hello. I don't think I've seen you before, or your name hasn't popped up. Let's put it that way. So thanks for stopping by. So connecting to ourselves, just finding that inner alignment. So notice how the collective is shifting. Everybody's doing well. So it's shifting away from you. Sometimes it needs a little extra help. Probably on your own, you might notice that it's a little harder to do, because part of it is we're in a space here together. So the space creates more clarity and more kind of emphasis on that inner alignment. Whereas by yourself, it takes more effort to walk yourself through. Just be aware of that. So don't get, it's like, oh, I can't do this. It's like you're doing okay. You just have to like get yourself more focused, more concentrated than when you're in the space here. Yeah, and wow, okay. So as that clears away, noticing some cool stuff happening for everybody. Okay, now let's jump back to, okay, that core alignment. Just say, okay, let's focus in on self now. And notice how much easier that was. You guys did that really nicely. And how much, not just easier, how much cleaner it is now that we've shifted that away from everybody, yeah? And there's the frequencies of natures that are just coming in for people. It looks really beautiful. Okay, there's a little bit more shifting with the collective for people. So coming in, just focusing on yourself. I'm going to shift this piece. Just feeling yourself connecting to that core piece, connecting, kind of feeling yourself inside your body, and with that skin as that outer edge of your body, just as a reference point. So that vase, that vessel, that container of your body is defined by your skin level. There we go. Yeah, and feel the lightness with that. And the ease, the relaxation. Okay, before we do this next one, yeah, just get everybody connected into, let's see, hold on a second. I'm just checking this thing that's going on here. Okay, just shifting you into a higher vibrational space right now. So just keep focusing on your breath. That's actually, we're doing another shift out of the collective. For everybody here, yeah. Generally speaking, everyone in the collective wants to shift. Part of the thing about the collective is that it's a group thing, basically. But we are also kind of all part of it. But everyone, we could say everyone really actually wants to shift. It wants to move into a higher state of being, something better for themselves, yeah? Problem is, many people don't know how to do it for themselves, and either have never learned, have never had the guidance, are so disconnected from themselves that they can't even have a sense of it for themselves, that that's what they want. Key. They're so disconnected from themselves that they don't know that that's what they want, and they're grabbing at a lot of things external to themselves, like money, fame, all sorts of things, friends, quote unquote friends, anything they can, that relationship, the looks, whatever it is, even that religion, whatever religion that might be, the person, that method, that meditation process, all of these things people are grabbing at right now, especially because they don't know how to do it, and they will grab at anything. They're not conscious of what they're not conscious of what they're looking for. It's that connection to themselves. Yeah, there we go. So that was a little bit of what was going on with that, shifting into that higher space for everybody here. To just kind of disconnect even more from that piece. So just coming into your breath. And let's go a little bit deeper. Bring your awareness into, okay, so first your breath. And then more deeply to that heartbeat. And sometimes the heartbeat is easier to feel, but sometimes we have to go to the breath first because the heartbeat is like so quiet. And then getting into the breath kind of quiets everything down enough so that you can then take that next step down into the rhythm of the heart. Yeah, very nice. Okay, now from this space, it's dropping in and connecting into the new earth. Anchoring that in for everyone. Yeah, really good. Very nice. Okay, this next piece. Now, ask to just, okay, let's see what's going on at the cosmic level. And notice whatever comes up for you. This is beyond the collective. This is beyond the human, all of that kind of stuff. It's what's really happening out there. Hey, Laria, just popping in. So just kind of connect to yourself and then just take a minute to connect to yourself, and then first get settled and grounded. I'll take you into the next piece in a minute. So notice the vastness, the expansiveness, the quietness. What's the word I'm looking for? The organization that's there at the cosmos level. So Laria, just tapping into yourself, connecting into yourself, and then just ask to just connect into the cosmic level. So very nice. Still centered in yourself and feeling yourself connected in at the cosmic level. Let's just bypass the collective here because this is telling us what's really going on, right? With the collective, we're just understanding what the collective reaction is to what's really going on. So that's what I did this morning. And as you kind of I'll just have you sit there for a minute. I'll share what came up for me. And just notice what you're experiencing on your end. But it was, so I could see like this network. It felt like a network, a grid. It's like all these points of light, like you're looking out in the stars and you see all these little points of light all around. And then noticing that it's like these points are getting connected. So you kind of just follow along. And it's like this beam of light that's connecting all these points. It's in the process of connecting all these points. So there's this network. It's like this grid work, but grid work doesn't feel quite right. But there's this linking up that's happening in the cosmos. And I'm looking at my notes as I speak because it comes through more clearly that way for me when I'm just sitting here. And eyes are super heavy, almost drifted to sleep when you started. I'm trying to keep my eyes open. Yeah, that just means the vibration level is a little higher than what you're used to. That's all right. You can always come back too. So that's good. That's you're. It's like there's things getting connected, and it's like so it's like, well, what are these points of light, and it was the sense that these points of light represent the pure expression of form. I think everything has a form, even the non-physical has a form. So it was like these points of light representing the pure expression of form, and there's a multitude of form. And I could see there's this whole cosmic piece here that's just beautiful and fantastic. And then noticing kind of like off to the side, down below, there's just kind of this jumbled up mess. And Pigpen, if you guys, for those of you who are familiar with Peanuts, Pigpen character, just this little character who just always had like this cloud of dust and stuff floating around here, mud and sticks and stones, and just this whole thing just of the tangle that humanity is going through right now. And well, so that led to the next question of why, how did we get to this place, and it's like the laws of existence weren't followed. There are laws of existence, laws of nature that when you don't follow, there's a consequence. And so it's like, wow, when did that happen? And it happened such a long time ago. And part of the issue is that to come into physical form from the state of oneness, which is beyond the cosmos piece here, because the cosmos piece is already a step down, at least, because there's definition, there's form that's already taken place. So we're talking about the formless. You can call it the void if you want, but it's kind of even beyond the void. And in the process of coming into form mitigates what is remembered of this pure state of oneness. We'll just leave it at that because it's hard to really start explaining it. And we are all in this process of remembering who we really are, which is coming from this place of beyond this place of cosmos. And we are prompted to remember because we are realizing we don't have it on hand when we are needing it. So, if you think about what prompted you to start this journey for yourself, it's all of a sudden you have a sense of you don't have something that you need, and you start looking for it. So that's what that means is you get prompted to remember. It's like, and you start looking for who you are. What is that thing that I'm missing, that I'm realizing I'm missing, so some people will call it coming or going home, coming, going. It just depends your point of reference. But it's the process of coming into alignment with the laws and purity of nature and existence. So that's what we're in the process of going. That's what's happening at the cosmic level, right? And there's just this little tangled up ball in mangled up muddy little thing over here going on with humanity, right? And so this piece of, how did we get lost in the first place is really interesting. So I want to share that with people. Because it tapping into that, I can just feel that it just goes so far back. It goes back further than memory, than recorded. We call it recorded history, but recorded anything in any level. It's beyond that. And what happens is in this process of coming into physical form, there's a friction that kind of happens shifting out of that state. And there's a residue that gets created by this friction. So it's a friction of motion from a still state to one of fluctuation, because still is when there's that state of oneness, there's just stillness. There's nothing else. And so there's motion to come into form. And so that fluctuation starts to happen. So the residue starts to build up, and that's why it's this piece about following the laws of nature, of existence and of nature, to keep up with that clearing out of the residue, and we haven't been doing that for an extremely long time, and there's been this incredible buildup. So of course the last question, which is where we started actually, is what do we do about this? Because here we are finding ourselves in this humanity, in this tangled piece, even though we're kind of in the midst of that, being human, being on earth, being in this part of this collective. Even if we can tap into that cosmic level, is what we started with, is coming into that place of stillness, to find that, because that's within us, that oneness, that state of oneness. If you go back deep enough into yourself, you get there, because we are all that at a very deep level. So taking a deep breath into that, letting yourself feel that as best as you can in this moment, because you have to go so deep that it's a continual journey to go deeper and deeper into that. So letting yourself just feel into that. And that stillness is the most important piece that we can do anytime for ourselves, in any moment, even if it's just in one breath. Taking that deep breath in, exhaling out, letting yourself feel that in that exhale, in that moment, or even just at the top of your breath, and then exhaling everything out, just coming into that alignment for yourself. Each time you take a breath, when you end something before you start another thing, when you're frustrated, when having a hard time, when you're having a good time, coming into that stillness. So I just want to say a little quick note on that last comment by Wisdom Happy here about feeling eyes drifting off to sleep. Two things is that, when, like I said earlier, there's a higher state of vibrational state that you're finding yourself in, and maybe you're not used to being at that level. So it's a little harder to stay awake or to stay conscious, let's put it that way, because it's different than just a regular sleep. It's also that will also happen, you zone out, that will also happen because let's just take the mind out of the way, because otherwise the person's going to get too caught up in this, that, just kind of organizing it, even if it's not consciously done. It's the mind is going to go with it. So just let's take it offline, so that the person can really go into a much deeper place for themselves. So if you fall asleep, on these or any kind of meditations, it's just realize that could be going on, and you can always come back to it later. Yeah, very nice. So how are people feeling with this? It's kind of another interesting session in different ways. And if you want to share anything with any of the levels that, self or the collective or the cosmic level, that you noticed or or even just how you're feeling right now. Just feel free to share on the chat there. And then as just giving time for people to comment in and say whatever. Just put up my little value donation QR code up there if you want to make a donation to that for the session. That's up to you. I feel better. Oh, you're good. Good to hear. Yeah. You feel more rested, I want to say right now. You feel like you had just had a nice little rest for yourself. My sense is that you tend to take care of other people a lot. So that's good. It's like taking time to put everything aside, give yourself that rest. I'm not able to keep focus on any of your words. That's all right. That's good. A lot going third eye. I want to close my eyes into my thoughts. I'm trying to stay here and not in my head. Yeah, so that's part of the zoning out, is to, there's that part of you that is just wanting to just do something with that, kind of get a hold of it. And this is beyond getting a hold of it. This is like really coming into embodying it. So and there's also the sense of this piece with the trying to stay focused on your, it's like there's these two pieces, and one of them is not really you. It's just an identity. And it's interesting because it's like there's you and then there's this piece. So it's looking at it from the side. And so there's this shifting back and forth, and your mind is actually here and then here and then here and then here between the two. And so it probably creating this kind of weird effect where you feel like you're kind of coming in and coming out and coming in, and you're actually going between the two. This other piece is not you. The mental part is actually it's like something you've learned to be and to stay in control. Asta, so peaceful. Yeah, very nice. So you can just let go of that. Just kind of when you notice that, it's kind of hard because it's like you're there and you feel like yourself there and there and there and there and there and there kind of thing. So just kind of taking a deep breath in and just kind of going into your breath, focusing on your breath. And it's like, okay, that's not me. And this going back and forth, it's not you. It's just you're experiencing it that way. So yeah. And even the stuff of your third eye is not you. It's something trying to control your third eye. It's an external source trying to control your third eye. And you can try to come up here and feel what that is, and just kind of grab it and just like pull it out of yourself. Anybody else like to say anything? Okay, wisdom, happy. That should feel a little quieter for you now. Is that right now? A little calmer. So that brings up something for that I will say for the group here. Sometimes we think that we don't know a lot of stuff, like especially when it comes to this awakening and all this new age. And I'll leave it in this context because this is kind of the context of the group here. Got warm. Yeah. Okay. You got Yeah, okay, we'll go into that in a minute. But and we think we don't know a lot. And somebody is talking really well. So they've got the words, the explanations just kind of really make sense. It doesn't mean that they're at a higher level than you. There's the pure source connection. We can call it, some people will call it that, some just your pure source, your that core channel. That's you. That's more important than any explanation than somebody sounding really great. I don't care how great they are. I have been through this. They'll tell you, like 20 years ago, when I first started really stepping into this, it's like people. It took me a little bit. Then I started realizing I'd go to these workshops and it was just this feeling. I couldn't put my finger on it quite in the moment, but it's like this feeling. It's like, God, I should be paid for being here, because I could tell that I was holding the space more than the other person. So it's not about the words. It's not about what they're doing. It's not about what they're teaching. It's about that pure source connection. And if they don't have one that's as strong as yours, then if like in the context of a workshop, if you go to workshop and they're running the workshop and you go there and you've got a stronger pure source connection than they do, then you're taking care of the whole thing. So it's not that's the most important thing. Laurie, I'm feeling my headspace dizzy. I suppose it's the frequencies working on me. I also feel like my scapula are more curved, as though I have more baggage attached. You're just noticing the baggage that's been attached there. That's all. So yeah, it is a higher space. It's that you're in a higher space, and so you're kind of noticing kind of the disparities in your system. I feel a lot of warmth wrapping my body, kind of drifting in the cosmic. Yeah. So stay anchored. Oh, Glenna, good to see you. Just got on. Yeah, we're kind of wrapping stuff up, but good to see you. I love that pure source connection. Yeah. Also, heaviness, tension in the heart space in the last week. Yeah. Well, that's not you. That's all the stuff you're carrying. Got warm. Yeah. So it's like wisdom happy, that thing. It's like you're just pulled out. You were actually just, it's not you were getting pulled on, basically. And all of a sudden you're kind of like this, and you come into your body, and that's the warmth. You get more aligned with yourself, and that's the warmth. So that was a little bit. Thank you from Asta. So peaceful. Yeah, good. I was thinking of this at this AM, and you confirmed it. Thank you. The pure source connection. Yes, yes. So that's so important. So yeah, so let's take a deep breath in here to that connection to self. Yeah, very nice. Connection to the cosmos. Or not, yeah, let's connection, that sense. Let's change that word. Just that sense of that cosmos all around you, staying centered in yourself. Yeah, very nice. So remembering this space, coming back to this recording if you want just kind of that review, or if you were dozing off, which is fine, or feeling dizzy, you couldn't focus, that's fine, that was good. And so I just would come back to the drifting with Lydia, staying anchored in the new earth grid, yeah. So this space is accessible to you all the time. That connection to the cosmic level, cosmos. To remember that, this mug that we're going through, is that exactly, muck, you know? It's getting washed away. And in fact, the more you can be anchored into that cosmos or have that sense of the cosmos, the more it kind of clears from you. And I want to put one last piece is coming up to say, so it feels like it's a little bit, and it might feel like a little bit from left field, but it is connected. When it sinks in, when the following really sinks in for you, and it can sink in through anything. It actually sunk into me. You guys are going to find this kind of funny. I think it's kind of funny, but this piece sunk in for me watching the Twilight series of movies. There's a hell of a lot of information in those movies, I'll tell you. But anyways, that's a whole other story. But that's when it sunk into me. But when this next piece sinks in for you, you realize it's like what is going on in this moment just matters so little. It's like when you realize that you will live forever. And by you, I mean your pure essence, who you truly are, not this human form that you've taken on for this part of your journey, but you at the deepest core level of who you are. When you realize you live forever, whatever it is that you're going through right now is not so big. Yeah, you still have to go through it. It's still kind of, it can be a pain in the butt. I totally agree. But that's that realization that it's okay. You'll get through this. Living or dying as a human being this is just something we have to go through. That we've decided to go through because coming into physical form is that deepest part of the journey that we can take. That we've come here for. So really nice. Yeah, that was a nice piece to end on. Yeah, thanks for stopping in. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central European Time. And if you come in, pop in when you come in, that's great. It's always good to see people. Some people haven't shown up for a bit, like Karen and Glenna. It's always nice to see people pop in again whenever they do. So there we have it. I think that was a really nice session today. And still having so many issues metabolizing death. Well, there's a lot of human pieces connected up for you in that. A lot of family stuff, a lot of beliefs, etc. Thank you. Grateful to be here. It's nice to have you here. Yeah, hope you can join us another time. So every Wednesday here, same channel, same wherever you found Instagram and YouTube. So, good to see everybody. And we'll just keep up with doing this because it's just a wonderful space to be in and really just keep moving forward in everything that each one of you is going through. So, all right, we'll call it an evening. So take care, everybody. And until next time, take care.